So now we're going to continue this video to continue with surds. So now I'll have to how to solve equations that involve surds or square roots. So for example, so when you have this is just a few notes. So when you have equations that has square roots on both sides, or even a square root on one side, you need the first step you'll have to do to rearrange the equation so you can have the roots on one side and everything else on the other side. Then you can square both sides, and then you will have to simplify, rearrange, and do this as long as you need until there is no more square roots. So for example, in here we've got an equation that has two square roots, but they both on the left hand side. You see it, the first step is rearrange. Now if I rearrange, I will have to have a number and a roots on one side, and there are roots by itself on the other side. So we'll do this. So I've rearranged, I've kept the first roots, and then I've took everything else on the other side. Now I will square both sides. Now when I square this one here, we'll get rid of the roots. But on this one, because I've got two terms, when I square it using obviously my expanding skills, I'll have again another root. So what I need to do next is rearrange. So I'll have everything that has no surds on one side and leaving only the surds on that side here. And that's what we've done. So when you rearrange and simplify, you will get to this answer. So you've got the terms with the surds on one side and everything else on the other side. Now I will have to square again. You will have to continue squaring until no more roots. And then when you square, now I've got no roots. So now I can expand, divide, and solve. So you've got this dividing, and then you've got x squared equal 1, so x obviously positive, negative 1. You always have to check your answer, because sometimes even if you get x value, but when you substitute it back, it will not be satisfying the equation's means. When you substitute the negative 1, you need to make sure that you get 0 as an answer, because if you don't get a 0, that means this is not a valid solution. So if I've got the negative 1 substituted back, I get 0. I got the 1 substituted back, I've got 0 as well. So that's why both are valid solutions. Now, so we'll do one more example. No, sorry, we'll do another, maybe two. Okay, so we'll get one more example and another example. So again, I've got two surds. So I will have to isolate one surd or rearrange to have one surd on one equation, the other surd on the other side of the equation. I've got this. I'll square. Square this, expand, and simplify. When you expand and simplify, then you rearrange to have this surds. So I've got this one now as surds, this term. So I'll need to have this term as one side of the equation and everything else on the other side, and simplify. So after our simplification, I've got this. Now I will square again because I've got this one here. So now square and expand. Once you square and expand, rearrange and simplify. So once I rearrange and simplify, I end up with a quadratic. So quadratic equation at this stage here, you can always use your graphic calculators to solve it, because there's no point, we're not really testing you on quadratic formula. You can use your quadratic formula, you can use your factorization skills, or you just simply use your graphic calculators. Now if you don't remember how to use your graphic calculator, just revise it quickly. You go to the menu, go to equations. In equations you choose polynomial, and then in polynomial you choose a degree of 2, and then in there we'll get a matrix. So when you're writing your coefficient of x squared, which is 1, enter negative 146 as a coefficient of x, and the constant's 429, and then press solve and give you the answer. This one here is using factorization skills, and then you'll end up with two answers. Now again, we'll have to check, remember. So checking, I'll take the first is number, so you'll have to check it. I'll get the x equal 43. So once I get the x equal 143, I substitute it. I don't get the two sides are the same because 12 plus 17 does not equal to 5. That means 143 is not a valid solution. Now let's check the 3. So I've got the 3, yes, I got 5. That means the only solution for this equation is 3, not 2 solutions. Only one solution, which is 3. Now I'll do one more. So this one here is slightly different. So yes, I do have in one side of the equation the 2 surds, but they are divisions. So the first part is, again, remember you will have to split the 2 surds. So the first part is cross multiply, where I have the both surds on both sides of the equation. Now I'll square both sides. So once you've squared, you end up with this. Now rearrange and expand, rearrange. And once you've expanded and rearranged, you'll end up only with one term because those are 2 like terms. You can see I've got x square root of x and here x square root of x. So those 2 like terms give me 10x square root of x. I'll have this one on one side of the equation and everything else has no surds on the other side of the equations. Now I will square both sides. So once you square both sides, you'll end up with quadratics looks like. So you will rearrange, make it equal to 0 and solve again in any method that you want. You got 2 solutions. Now you check your solutions. So you substitute the 9, you get 2. Yes, bingo. So 9 is a solution. And then you will get the 109, you get negative 2. So that's not a solution because we want positive 2, not negative 2. So that's why this equation has only one solution, which is 9.